Bubble Boy's been in a bubble all his life due to no immune system. A cute blonde girl befriends BB. Her boyfriend proposes and BB decides to travel across USA to Niagara Falls to stop the wedding. A young man who was born without an immune system and has lived his life within a plastic bubble in his bedroom finds out that the woman he has loved since childhood is about to be married at Niagara Falls, so he builds a portable bubble suit and ventures into the outside world to win her affections. This is the story of a boy named Jimmy Livingston who was born without an immune system. Because of this, he is forced to live in a bubble dome in his bedroom, which has led students at a local high school to nickname him Bubble Boy. But when Jimmy discovers that a new girl, Chloe, has moved in next door, he is immediately taken with her beauty. They immediately become fast friends, much to Mrs. Livingston's jealousy. One day, Chloe announces that she is leaving for Niagara Falls to marry Mark, a man who always ridiculed Jimmy. And so Jimmy builds a mobile bubble suit and sneaks off into the night, determined to stop the wedding before it is too late. Jimmy Livingston, Jake Gyllenhaal, was born without an immune system and is forced to live in a sterilized dome in his bedroom, earning him the title Bubble Boy by his neighbors. Jimmy's devout, right-wing, Christian mother only exposes him to Highlights magazine and the Land of the Lost for entertainment. When he is a teenager, a girl named Chloe moves in next door. Jimmy is immediately taken with her, and eventually befriends her despite his mother's discouragement. One day, Chloe visits Jimmy and tells him that she is leaving for Niagara Falls to marry her boyfriend, Mark, in 3 days. Jimmy is upset by this revelation, and they separate on bad terms. Later, Jimmy opens a gift Chloe had brought him, a homemade snow globe with the phrase "I love you" written in it. Jimmy realizes that Chloe cares for him. Realizing how much he cares for her, Jimmy builds a mobile bubble suit and runs away from home, determined to stop the wedding. On the first day of his journey, he's unable to afford a bus ride to Niagara Falls but is picked up by an overly enthusiastic cult on a pilgrimage towards enlightenment. But after Jimmy unintentionally offends the cult, by referring to them as a cult, he is marooned in the desert. By this time, Jimmy's mother has discovered her son missing, so she and her husband set off to find Jimmy. While traveling through the desert, Jimmy meets Slim, a biker with a flat tire. Jimmy offers to fix the flat with some patches and the two become friends. Elsewhere, Gil, the leader of the cult Jimmy met, has revealed their messiah is the Round One, and that whoever rejects him will suffer. The group who abandoned Jimmy regret their actions and set off to find him. Jimmy and Slim have traveled to Las Vegas in hopes of scoring enough money to get to Niagara Falls. However, Slim gets caught up in the Vegas life, so Jimmy goes on without him. The cult runs into Slim in Vegas while asking for directions. Slim recognizes them from Jimmy's story and threatens them, only to have his bike destroyed by the cult bus. Enraged, Slim rallies a gang of bikers to get even. While riding a motor scooter he won in Vegas, Jimmy is recognized by his parents, but veers off the road and boards a train filled with circus freaks and conducted by their owner, Dr. Freak. Dr. Freak finds Jimmy and announces that he's keeping him as an attraction of his circus. Jimmy refuses, knocking him unconscious, allowing the circus freaks to escape. Jimmy then wanders into a restaurant where an Indian man is being antagonized by the ignorant townspeople. When Jimmy tries to defend him, the townspeople begin to probe him about his suit, but panic and evacuate the restaurant when they misunderstand his illness. The sheriff locks him in the restaurant and quarantines it, unintentionally setting the building on fire. Luckily, Jimmy is saved by Push Pop, the ice cream curry truck driver he had defended earlier. He and Jimmy escape the town that now is in flames. Push Pop thanks Jimmy for his earlier kindness and agrees to take him to Niagara Falls. Meanwhile, Jimmy's parents have met up with Dr. Freak, whom Jimmy's mother mistakes for a child and brings along with them. Elsewhere in Niagara Falls, Chloe is apprehensive about marrying Mark and can't stop thinking of Jimmy. Later, Push Pop accidentally runs over a cow and feels he must atone for his actions, unable to continue the journey. Jimmy sets off on foot and ends up in a small town in Illinois. Here he meets Pappy, a cab driver who agrees to take him to Niagara Falls for $500. To earn the money, Jimmy goes into a Japanese casino nearby and enters a mud wrestling competition with 2 women for a convenient prize of $500. Jimmy eventually wins, but just as he is about to leave, he runs into the cult again. Proclaiming him as their chosen one, they plan on releasing Jimmy from his bubble. Luckily, the freaks have followed Jimmy and, realizing he's in danger, disguise themselves as members of the cult and trick them into believing they're mutating for their earlier crimes against Jimmy. During this commotion, Slim and his bikers arrive on the scene. The bikers, the freaks, and the cult all begin fighting to save Jimmy in their own ways. In the confusion, Jimmy escapes in the taxi. On the last day in his journey, Pappy and Jimmy have now arrived in New York, but Pappy is unresponsive, having apparently died behind the wheel overnight, forcing Jimmy to abandon the moving taxi before it crashes. Jimmy tries to call Chloe to tell him of his success, only to reach her fiancé Mark, who rudely convinces him that Chloe doesn't really love him. Jimmy becomes depressed at this assumed rejection and calls Dr. Freak, ready to assume his role as a freak like the others. However, his parents overhear Dr. Freak's conversation, and upon learning his location, dump Dr. Freak out of their moving car and rush to retrieve him. When his parents pick him up, Jimmy and his father are sitting alone in the car. His father, who is more level-headed than his wife, regrets that Jimmy is giving up when he is so close. Jimmy's father then looks the other way while Jimmy escapes to finish his mission. Upon his mother discovering this, they begin chasing him down in the car, but a biplane swoops down out of nowhere and picks Jimmy up. The pilot is Pappy's brother, Pippi. Finally, Jimmy reaches Niagara Falls but falls out of the plane and into the falls itself. Jimmy manages to escape the water and arrives just in time to stop the wedding. He then removes his bubble suit, allowing him to touch the girl he loves for the first time. Upon kissing her, Jimmy collapses and presumably dies in front of everyone in the church, as well as all the people who have been chasing after him, the cult, the freaks, the bikers, and his parents. Jimmy's mother then, encouraged by her husband, confesses that Jimmy had developed an immune system when he was 4, revealing that he is not actually dead at all. Mrs. Livingston had hidden this fact from Jimmy to protect him from the corrupting world. Jimmy forgives her and resumes kissing Chloe. Finally, Jimmy and Chloe are married with all of Jimmy's new friends in attendance. Jimmy's mom, who is revealed to be a former girlfriend of Slim nicknamed Wildfire, rides off with Slim and Jimmy's father. Push Pop has become the new leader of the former cult, who are apparently now followers of Hinduism. Dr. Freak has befriended his band of freaks. Pippi and Pappy, who've reconciled after a past disagreement, drive off with Jimmy and Chloe to their honeymoon.